and opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing.
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold.
Welcome everyone to Tando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Dave from LA, and it is a Wednesday. May the 10th, 2017. It is a Wednesday, and it's a wise Wednesday, so looking forward to having a show today with Brother Davis with you all. So definitely stand by for that, and everyone continue to support Black Talk Radio Network, which is brought to you solely by its own sponsorship. So what does that mean? It needs you to also to sponsor it and to be a part of it so it can continue to grow. And you can easily do that by going to www.blacktalkradionetwork.com. That is the home internet. That's the website for this network, and you can go there. And what you can do is just look at the far right-hand corner. You'll see the donation prompt that's there. Hit that so that you can give some of your financial energy to the network so it can continue to grow. Very, very important. Also, Black Talk Radio Network has established another way that you can sponsor and support it by being a part of this social media outlet known as BTR Community, where you can engage in all of your social media activities for only $24 a year. And you can post things that are, that you find interesting, things about your business, things about you, things about events that you think are relevant and important. And very, very important to do that because now you won't be adversely affected by you having a posting like you are in FedBook, where everything is chronicalized and everything is actually memorialized so that it can be used in the future against you. So going over to BTR Community, be a part of it. The only place that I post information, and is a place where you don't have to worry about that, and you can do that, and that will also support the network. So if you would like to acquire real money, you can do that by going to prosperitymint.com, PROSPERITYMINT.com, prosperitymint.com. Check out then email info@prosperitymint.com before you make your purchase, so someone can walk you through the steps and to ensure that you are purchasing having this engagement properly, so that you won't it's something that definitely we have to do so that you can acquire real money without having the adverse effects that could go along with it. So make sure you contact Prosperity Mint, or you could text me at 951-790-8330. Okay. Also, my man Roz Queen has got some great bags. I'm actually, you can kind of hear I was kind of messing up here because I was actually trying to do two things at one time. My man Roz's wife has some great bags for you to actually acquire And these are some really, really nice bags. And there's free shipping if you make a purchase today. And that's what I'm doing now. And you can do it through PayPal. It's info at info at isiibags.com. Info at isiibags.com. And if you would like to make an order by phone, easily just give a call, 609-218-9912. And she has some great bags. Contact them, and they will send you some pictures of, and I don't know if I could have posted, Raj should post it. Raj, when you get a chance, post some of these bags that the Queen is selling. Very, very nice bags. I'm actually going to grab one. I'm actually doing that as we speak right now. So check that out. And let me see what else. Oh, tonight, right after Tando Radio Show, we're going to have the preparedness in precious metals class. We'll kick off. We're first going to be focusing on preparedness because of what's coming down the pipe, what's the things that we need to be doing. And if you would like to do that, you can actually go to info at prosperitymint.com, or you can email me at wolf6pack1@gmail.com, or text me at 951-790-8330, and I will get you the information. We're going to be starting that right after Tando Radio Show goes off. We're going to be engaging with that. So if you have actually, for those of you that have already signed up for it, you should have received the conference call number. And if you haven't, please reach out to me at text me at 951-790-8330 for your information, okay? So that you can be ready to go for 2 nights class, and it's a monthly fee of $40 for that. So you can't beat it. Definitely need to get engaged in that. So come on over. Looking forward to that. So, and then Roz, definitely give me a call while the show is going, because I'll be able to monitor the show. And real quick, I got a question for you to make sure I'm doing this whole thing correctly. And okay, so don't forget, Roz, give me a call. Okay, so with that being said, let's jump into what's in the news. And first article we have for what's in the news, let me spin this down. Okay, first article. Let me move this down. All right, first article. Rise posted this one from DW.com. Hey, who's got my initials? How dangerous are Chinese shadow banks? Man, this is a good article, Rise. Definitely something I'm definitely going to want to look into, but because it's Wise Wednesday, we're going to have to keep moving. But we're going to have another show Thursday and Friday, very, very important. But let's keep it rolling because Brother Davis is, let me check to see if Brother Davis is here. I'm pretty sure he's here. Yes. Brother Davis is there, so let me hurry up to get through this so we can get to Brother Davis' show. Okay, next article we have. Oh, I don't see Roz on the board. All right, so I'll catch up with Roz. Next article we have is from Roz posted this one. America's biggest corporations are quietly boosting Trump's hate agenda. Check out that article as well. Great one. Next one, Roz posted this from Fox News. Here's how to protect your phone from hackers. Next article, Roz posted this one from Telegraph. Philippines Island Paradise safe dispute despite U.S. kidnapping warnings, says the Army. The Philippine Islands Paradise safe despite U.S. kidnapping warnings. Check out that article. Next article from Roz posted this one from the New York Times. Top Turkish diplomats assail U.S. decision to arm Syrian Kurds. Check out that article. Next article, Roz posted this one. In this one, I don't know where he got it. North Korea. Oh, I see. Yeah. I see what Roz is doing. Next one comes from The Guardian. Number of suspects number of suspected slave victims in London expected to leap by 60%. Check out that article. The next article is from, Rise got this one from Financial Helpers. Credit card debt. Check out that article as well. Really good one there. Next one, this is from the New York Times. Days before he was fired, Comey asked for money for Russian investigation. So check out that article as well. Next one. And then, Rise says, awesome. Donald Duck didn't want Comey snooping too far into his business. Something is fishy about Trump's action. Check out that article. And then next article, I posted this one from Vox. South Korea has a new president, and he and Trump see North Korea very differently. But I don't know why he's got Comey's picture there. Anyway, next article from dailystar.co.uk. China fires missile near North Korean border and terrifying World War III threat. Check out that article. Next article, I posted this one from Bloomberg. This is the 5-word message that got a Citigroup trader fired. Check out that article. And this is a lot of stuff going on financially that we need to be talking about. Next one from Bloomberg. Comey ousted threatened to backfire on troubled Trump White House. And the last article comes from Bloomberg. I posted this one from Bloomberg. SEC pro rental homes value in private equity bond deal. A lot of things going on, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I want to say. Tomorrow's show, you cannot miss it. We're going to be talking about some very, very important things. Actually, yesterday's show, because of our guest with the Bitcoin, went a little bit further. But if that's something that you would like to engage in, I posted it there inside of Tando Radio Show. I will repost it again. And this is something that I definitely think that you should be using to save. Take the opportunity to save. Take the opportunity to own some Bitcoin. And the reason being is because it will actually provide you with another means of revenue, income revenue for yourself and your family that you can use in so many different ways. So definitely, I've reposted it there, how to do it. And we're going to talk about that somewhat tomorrow, and then we're going to get into the overall topic that I was meaning to get in yesterday. They tell you before they do it. What now? And this is going to be part 2. Very, very important because this stuff is really coming down the pipe. And make sure you read the article that we posted, the very first article that we posted after the announcing of yesterday's show, the one from Bloomberg. Critical that you read it, but we're going to definitely go over it, dissect it, some major things that we're going to do on Thursday and Friday here on Tando Radio Show. You don't want to miss that tomorrow. So with that being said, I don't want to take up too much more time from Brother Davis's time. Roz, do me a favor, call me while Brother Davis is doing the show. I'll be able to watch the board, mute myself, and talk to you really quickly. But definitely give me a call, Roz. Need to talk to you real quick. So without further ado, everyone, Brother Davis, if you would unmute yourself so we can get going on Wise Wednesday. Definitely looking forward to it. Roz, I see you on the board, brother. Make sure you give me a call while Brother Davis is having Wise Wednesday. Then jump back in. It'll only take a second. I got a question to ask you. Very important. Okay? So, Brother Davis, when you can, just unmute yourself, and we'll get going with Wise Wednesday.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. How are you this evening? I tell you, it's always a pleasure, an opportunity, and a joy to put my time here with you because I'm always working, trying to improve us as a people. And today we're going to do some inventory, but it's not the inventory you think. Why it's not the inventory you think is because we have a preconceived notion what inventory is. But the truth is, if I was going to title this inventory, it would be titled Fight or Flight. Now, for those of you who don't understand the terminology of fight or flight, let me take you back here a little bit. When I was a child, we hung out in the streets and we had best friends and kids we played with. Sometimes we got to a point where there was a confrontation, and you either had to take it emotionally and walk off and literally carry the scars of that confrontation, or you confronted it and you dealt with the scars of that confrontation. And the reason why I'm saying this tonight is because in our inventory tonight, we're going to talk about how are we emotionally preparing for the possibility of making the decision of fight or flight. Now, I know a lot of you probably haven't even considered it. And the reason why you haven't considered it is because the way we have been programmed, not just you, the way we have been programmed is that we do not want to confront pain. We got brothers and sisters out here in the street that they talk a lot, but they don't want confrontation. And it's a different dynamic about when I came up. You see, you knew you're going to go out, you're going to play baseball, you're going to be at basketball, you're going to be on the playground, and everybody ain't going to see eye to eye. So as I was coming up, my older brothers used to look at me and say, look, I don't need to know as long as you go toe to toe. Now, I thought that was a little bizarre. As a young man coming up, 7, 8, 9 years old, I already had a few confrontations. But my brothers, both of them, would always say, look, I don't need to know if you go toe to toe. So as I began to develop into the person I was becoming, there were times where we went straight up. We bumped heads, and we fought. We fought like you challenged me, I challenged you because of whatever reason. I understand we were children. But I knew I had to go toe to toe, blow for blow. Now here's the unique dynamic of that. That might have happened in the morning, and I would be playing basketball or baseball with that same person that afternoon. Why? Because that was the dynamic of growing up at that time as a child. And you see, what we fail to realize now is that that dynamic is missing out of our personal behavior pattern. Literally. It's been programmed out. See, now our children and a lot of us adults, we talk confrontation, but we are not prepared mentally for confrontation. And the sad part about that is that there may come a point where it's unavoidable, and you have to be prepared. Now, some people will think in a situation where like that, they could probably keep it under control. Not in a crisis situation. And this is what we're coming into. This is what all this is about. This is just another attribute. Ask yourself, how many of you have weapons? How many are you prepared to use them? Ask yourself, what are you protecting? And how far would you go to protect it? Now, I've been married to my wife a long time. And she'll tell you she's never felt fear when I'm around. Never. Because she knew early in our relationship that I would never let anything happen to her. Okay? When you think about the dynamic of what I said there, because that is a trust that had to be earned, not just through verbal conversation, but through my actions. And there were points where there were confrontations that had nothing to do with her, but how I dealt with that situation gave her an understanding that she had nothing to fear. And see, this is the position that you have to be able to put yourself in the frame of mind of, and then your family. Because I'm going to tell you, the bottom line is, if they haven't been taught, they already know fear. You got horror movies that talk fear and scare fear. You got zombies on your TVs that talk fear and scare fear. You got Halloween that talk fear and scare. These are all programs. These programs are to throw your thought process into a mode fear. Now, for those of you who remember, I did the show about the Charleston church and why this guy was able to go in there and kill so many people because their fear froze them. But like statues, they watch each one die because their fear would not let them break that psychological possession that they had no control over based on their psychological perception of, oh, this couldn't happen here. Now, how many of you have a psychological perception? Oh, that can't happen to me. You see, that is a pitfall. Because if you're somewhere that you're not aware of your surroundings, you are subject to something happening to you that you would least expect. So for those of you who have now possessed part of the story, let's get deep into the inventory. How do you act when you're in a situation of fight or flight? Do you get tense? Do you get nervous? Is your mind racing? Are you thinking, what if this guy hits me? Or are you thinking, oh, wow. Or are you thinking, I ain't no punk? You see, all of these dynamics play a role. Now, let me give you an understanding of how I deal with it before I give you an expectation of how you should deal with it. In every situation that you see is getting out of control, if my wife is with me, the first thing I do is touch her. Because she knows when I touch her, the way that hand moves is the way she goes. Now, I'm thinking in terms of getting her out the way. I'm thinking in terms of controlling my breathing and relaxing my body. I'm thinking in terms of first blood. Because guess what? It's not my intent to draw it, but I am prepared. And the reason why I'm prepared is because I don't want nothing to happen to this treasure that I so preciously guard. So I'm observing everything. I'm observing the confrontation. I'm observing the environment behind him. I'm observing the people and their reactions, because this may lead into someone's preconceived plan. So if I see people positioning, then my mind is calculating. And I'm already into the operation of my first blood draw. Because in reality, they're expecting to see fear. And I'm showing them nothing. Did you get that? Let me come back on that. They're expecting to see fear. And I'm showing them nothing. Because that way they're not interpreting what I'm doing in my process. Why? Because now I'm listening for them. I'm listening for their breathing pattern. I'm looking at how their body's reacting. Because if they're starting to breathe hard, if they're starting to sweat, they have no control over their physicality in this. And most people, they only get in confrontations when there's more than one. Why? Because they want the odds in their favor. That is the purpose of looking beyond your circumstance. Okay? I'm listening very closely. Because if my wife touches me, she sees something. You see what I'm saying? All of these dynamics are coming to play in fight or flight. All right? Now, they know nothing about me in most cases. And because they have me in what they would consider a predator's controlled situation, I have to be prepared for anything that I see that may be considered a threat. And we have to be able to do this while we are literally sizing the situation up. You see, it's never going to be like on TV. Understand? Let me say that again. It is never going to be like on TV. So you literally have to understand what your strengths and your weaknesses are so you can apply them quickly. Okay? I'm a methodical thinker, and I do know a few things that you probably don't. So let me give you some tips. Your body has centers of networking, okay? There are 7 major centers of networking, and those are called your glands. Think about it. Your pituitary gland, your thyroid gland, your pineal gland, your spleen, your sexual organs. These are glands of the system of your body. All your lymph nodes, because these are where your energy centers connect. And if you know these things, you've already put yourself in the position of ruling your circumstance. And sometimes ruling your circumstance may be to instill fear quicker by adding the pressure first. That's why I said I'm prepared to draw first blood. But only in a situation where I see that fight or flight is no longer a choice. Because now, fight is the decision I have made. Understand how I said that? Because, see, some people get caught up in a decision. Oh, wow, what do I do now? No. When you get caught up to a decision, you allow them to make the decision. You can't do that if you want to take control, okay? Now, in some cases, you may be packing. Well, that doesn't do you any good if you project that. And that's what you look for, too, when your observation of your circumstance. Who looks like they might have something? Who's acting like that's their security? You see, in fight or flight, you have to understand that your body should be working for you constantly in reference to achieving what it is that you want to achieve. Okay? Even if I have to flight, my body should be relaxed enough so that now I can take control. If not, I'm going to tell you, you get all tense, your muscles get tight, your blood pressure starts to go up, and the reason being is because your body is taking over based on an emotional incident that your mind has already detected you're a part of. Either way it goes, you have to be prepared. And in being prepared, you must make decisions that are going to make a difference in the circumstance. Let me tell you this. Your decision time is not going to be long. Why? Because if you take too long, they'll make it. And if they make it, they're not going to make it to your advantage, okay? So, I hope you're beginning to see this picture. Because, see, I gave you a scenario when my wife was with me and how we communicated. I hope y'all picked up on that. Okay? Now, let me give you a scenario with my sons. I might have told you this before. There have been times where there were street fights, a lot of people around, two people fighting, that sort of thing. We came down the street. I turn around and I look at them, stay close to me as possible. They, at this time, don't know what that's going to do. But I ease my way through the crowd. I'm easing people to a side, and I separate the two that are fighting. And I'll look at one and say, you go home. If he goes home right away, you know he wants to get out. He only wants this confrontation. So you should literally be making sure that when you separate them, that you point to the weaker of the two so he can break. Because that's his opportunity, and he's looking for it, and you're giving it to him. You look at the other person, and you say, brother, there's nothing that is important enough that you have to fight in the street to make a decision. Because when you do that, you allow yourself to take on the animal attribute. Okay? Now, my sons at this time were terrified. Why were they terrified? They were terrified because of the fact that they didn't know what to expect out of this crowd. But you know what they did notice? That everybody in there was like, wow, this brother ain't playing. Others were like, man, this brother's crazy. He's going to step in here and break he don't know what's going to happen. Now, needless to say, my two sons were shocked the first time. Because, I mean, a lot of them were his friends. They knew these people from school. Well, when they came home from school the next day, it was like, you know what, Dad? They was talking about you. I mean, just the way we came into the crowd like we was gangbusters. I said, no, man, that wasn't the case. But that's how the kids were describing this in the dynamic of their school. You see, we must give the example. Because their circumstances are evolved around a TV set. When they see generals, and let me repeat that, when they see generals operating in their authority, they like that authority. And guess what? They want to emulate that authority. So you know what? I went from being Joshua and Joseph's dad to Mr. Davis. How you doing, Mr. Davis? You understand the dynamic going on here? Because they were reflecting on how I dealt with that situation right in our own neighborhood. Everybody that was there. And some of them didn't live in that neighborhood. Let me make that very clear. You know how those fights go. Another situation. I concealed weapon permit. I've had that for a number of years. I was outside washing my car, and a police officer rode by, and he looked. He kept on going. Well, you know, the young boys on the corner, they checking this out. A police officer, 5'0", all right. So he came back by again, and he looked. He parked his car. He got out the car. And he walked up to me and said, hey, how you doing? I said, fine. He said, you got a permit for that? I said, oh, yeah, I got a permit. He said, well, could I see it? I said, sure. I pulled out my wallet. I gave him my driver's license, and I gave him my permit. So he walked back over to the car. I mean, I continue washing my car. By this time, you know, everybody on the street started to slow down and look. So the cop comes back over to me. He said, here you are. I said, thank you. He said, could I see the weapon? I said, sure. So I pulled it out my shoulder holster. I dropped the magazine out of it. I dislodged the chamber, locked it in position when there was no rounds in it, and I gave him the weapon. He went back over to the car. Came back 2 or 3 minutes later. I knew he was checking the numbers to make sure it was what I was qualified for. So as he gave it to me, you know, and the neighbors starting to realize, okay, well, Dad, Mr. D, he ain't playing that yet. He looked at me and he said, what are you going to do with that? Are you prepared to use it? I said, whenever necessary. And I looked him straight in his face. Officer said, well, have a good day. I put my piece back together, stuck it back into my shoulder holster, put my jacket back on, and continued washing my car. You see, the dynamics of confrontation are always looming over us as a people. And if we are going to submit to the dynamic, we must not relinquish our control. You see, each step of that, I gave him what he requested. I mean, I was legit. I'm assuming he was legit. But he knew when I gave him my weapon, he was getting an empty weapon. So he had to believe that there was any possibility he was going to start something, I was going to be prepared for that. But he was just being the officer, the white officers as they are. And every once in a while, when he see me out there, he give me a gesture. Nothing real friendly, but it did let me know, okay, he knows who I am and I know who he is. I tell you all of these things because we must prepare for the moment of fight or flight. This is Brother Davis on a Wise Wednesday. I'm trying to give you some insights that will be tools for you as times begin to evolve. And the reason why is because I also had to work with my children. Oh yeah, I taught them how to communicate with their hands across the room. I could be in a crowded room, and by gestures, they knew what I was thinking. Same thing with my wife, because we have to be, we must be civil enough to be able to work every situation to our favor. Did I know when I was doing this? Did I know that society would evolve to what it is today? No, absolutely I did. But I did know this, that I was going to be prepared to protect the ones I love in any circumstance, any given situation. So you're going to be tested. Another thing is I have one of my sons, Joseph, Kenyan. He was adopted. We were in the court hearing, and I was talking to the judge. Silver and the gold, making silver jewelry, and I go out and sell it to make money. And I was a truck driver. I had my own business. He's looking at all these things, you know. To him, for a black man, this was dynamic. For me, it was like, this is what we do. So I told him, I said, I must teach my children at an early age how to communicate in places that most people would not be able to converse in. So I did a hand gesture, and they stood up. And I talking to the judge, and I said, because there are times when we'll be in a situation, they may be across the street or whatever, and I can't holler across the street. I did another hand gesture, and they stood up. In the meantime, he's watching me, and he's looking at these boys, and as I continue to converse with him, telling the importance of it, I did another hand gesture, and they sat down. So he said, you really know what you're doing? I said, well, actually, these are acts of love. And if I want to let them understand the importance of how much I love them, they must also understand to what lengths I will go to protect them. Now, needless to say, he gave me and my wife custody of Joseph, and Joseph at that time might have been 7 or 8 years old, which is cool, you know what I mean? Because he began to connect with me because I was doing something no one else had did to him before. My older son, my next to the oldest son, Joshua, was like, you know, this is just how Dad flows, you know. I mean, he's used to it. All right? Now, on the other side, my wife had a connection with them on a motherly level. Do this to your room, you know, that sort of thing. Clean the house on Sundays or Saturdays. It was a clean-up day and that sort of thing. But literally, were they perfect kids? No. But they knew in certain situations, all they had to do was look at Dad. My wife knew. At certain situations, she would find me. I would go into a store. I had a whistle. And to this day, my daughter, when I'm in a store, if she hears this whistle, she turns her head and looks. Because she knows I want to know where people are. And my wife, literally, she's so used to it now that she could tell if it's me whistling or not, because other people picked up this simple trait. But when I'm whistling, if and I couldn't see them, they'd raise their hand so I could see it or step out in the open, or they would do the gesture to get my attention. See, with that gesture I was telling you earlier, yeah, that was to get your attention. Look at me. That's what that meant. Look at me. And that way I could communicate to you and you could communicate to me. Now, I'm bringing all of these things to your attention because we're moving into some diverse times. So we're going to have some diverse methods. What would you say, darling? Oh, yeah. With children, it's a slightly different thing because I used to march my children to school. You know, I know it sounds funny, but when they were doing it, I'm telling you, I would get my little children out in the street, and I'd say, "Hands up," and I'd start marching them, and I would say, "Freeze," and they would stop. Well, all the kids in the neighborhood thought this was great. They didn't know I was training my children. But they got in line, you know what I mean? And I'll say, forward, and they start marching, picking their knees up, and they look down at their feet to make sure that they was doing it. I'm going to tell you, children are so dynamic in wanting to achieve just to show you their. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't know 70 to 80% of these children. But every day when I took my kids to school, they would be out there. Now, if I said freeze, everybody stopped. And then I'll say forward. Because, see, I was teaching them to be still. I don't need to tell you twice. You see what I'm saying? I need you to understand with that one word, freeze. And the reason why is because it could save your life in a given circumstance. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking, man, who's thinking about stuff like that? When you've been in the military and you've been in situations where you've seen the disconnect in a family, you see the destruction of that. And the first thing in the back of your mind, you're saying, I never want that to happen to my family. Okay? So these things, although they don't come out immediately, they're in the back of your mind so that when I started having children in a family, I brought these things into our family dynamic as a game. And they loved to play this game. Their friends was around. And it's very simple to do. You just have to take the authority in a gentle way. And it's very simple. My sister used to live in what they call housing, okay? So we would go over to low-income housing, and they had this big field out there. And she had about 3 kids who had a bunch of friends, and her and my wife was talking one day. So I went outside, and I took my 3. I said, look, I want to see who's the fastest. I just took my 2 nephews and my niece. I said, let's go on over here in the field. And I walked out 40 yards. I said, on your march, get set, go. In 5 minutes, we had 50 kids. What was I supposed to say? Y'all can't run? So I said up here, look, you go to the end of the line. You guys form 5 lines. When they got to 5 lines, I didn't care what the size was. On your march, get set, go. And they would run up the field. I did this an hour. I'm telling you, we had at least 50 or so kids there, more. Well, one of the kids' mom, she made those little suckers where she made the Kool-Aid and she put it in a thing and she froze them and she would sell them for like 10 cents or something. Well, after about an hour, I was getting tired, and I could see my wife and my sister had came outside and stood on the deck and everything, or the porch, and chairs. So I seen the one little kid. I said, what is that? And she said, oh, this is treats my mom made. I said, oh, yeah? She said, yes. She said, you want one? I said, no, not really. I said, how many your mom got? She said, well, my mom makes a lot of them. So one of the kids hollered out, she sells them. I said, oh, yeah? I said, well, where do you live at? And it was like the next row right there. She could see where all the kids were at. That's another thing. When all those kids gathered out there with me, then their parents and the other people would come out on the porch and just what was going on. And all they seen that the kids was having fun. They was getting burnt out and tired. So I went to her and I said, hey, how you doing? I said, my name is so-and-so, and that's my sister over there. And I was out there, and the kids playing in the field, and your daughter came out with one of these, and she said, did you sell them? She said, yeah, I do. She said, I make up about 4 flavors. And she said, it's only Kool-Aid, and I put them in a fancy cup. I said, well, how much you sell them for? She said, I sell them for 10 cents. I said, how many you got? She said, well, I got a lot of them. I made a bunch of them this morning. She said, the kids know. They all know me. I said, well, I tell you what. I said, all y'all get in line. Come on over here. If you want one of these, come on and get in line. So they all got in line, and all I could hear them was saying, well, who is this? Who is there? And it was like, well, that's Ike's uncle. That's Valerie's uncle. Because they knew my niece's nephew. So I said, well, why don't you tell them what flavors you have and give them one? She said, all of these kids? I said, yeah, I'll pay for everything. She said, are you sure? So she started, they was coming up, give me the green one, give me the red one, give me the blue one. And all of them had one. So I said, well, how much do I owe you? She said, $6 or something. So I said, okay, here you go. Here's $7. I said, I just appreciate the courtesy if you have it. Now, these kids are sitting all over the place. Huh? Okay. They're sitting all over the place, and they were eating these things based on the fact that the mother she had them available. And all I had to do was buy them. Uh-oh, I lost it. Can you still hear me? I don't know if you can hear me now, but I'm going to continue. But the reason why I'm pointing this out is because it's to whatever was going on. Why? Because it was something that would be endearing to them.
Yes, we can hear you, brother. We can hear you, Brother Davis. Okay. We hear you fine.
Now, Okay, good. One of the things that was so unique about this was I got to meet a bunch of the parents in the neighborhood who came over to my sister's house and talked about how their children enjoyed what I did with them and then the treat that I gave them. There wasn't nothing to me. When I say it wasn't nothing to me, I was just sharing my time with what I thought was my nieces and nephews, and because they were so popular, the group just blew and blew and blew. And when I found out at the end, because I'm going to tell you, I was tired watching them. They was breathing hard, and they was sweating, and they was talking about who beat who. And you know how kids are. And then the girl came across with this here thing to keep them cool. I didn't even get one. I just wanted them to have them. But I had made such a powerful impression on these children. Now, I'm going to tell you how powerful that dynamic is. My wife and I was in our hometown about 2 months ago, and this brother who seen me standing beside my wife came up to her and said, you know, you have a great husband. Now, I'm looking at him, and I know his features. I know his face, but I don't know his name. And he went on to talk about the kids that day, and his kids was one of them. So you never know it's going to come back to you, but, you know, if we set that example, we could pull these children into the realm of being able to follow it and be able to grow by the experience so that when they come into situations that they do not lose focus because that person in control has already given them enough instruction to be able to know who to follow and what to do according to direction. The most powerful thing that we can do as adults is to make sure that we take away those things that make them lazy and give them things that exhaust them and then give them a reward. Because that way, then they begin to realize I'm going to get something for this, or they may do it because of the reward at the end. But, I mean, kids was coming up to me saying hello when I would go out there later on that I didn't even know. And I said, hey, how you doing? Who are you? Who's your parents? And then so-and-so, I was in the field that day. Well, you bought us ice cream. You know what I mean? So, you know, children, they work in a very, very simple dynamic. But we must feed that dynamic so that as they begin to grow into adults, that they become to understand the importance of being a general in their circumstance and not even require a title. A lot of times they go the wrong way, and the reason why they go the wrong way may be a plethora of different reasons. But I'm finding out in my travels that when you apply yourself, you can make changes in people that you don't even realize. So what about the changes that you are intending to make? You see, that's why it's important that you have a psychological understanding of fight or flight and be prepared. Understand my preparation process. When I knew this was going to be a confrontation and flight was out the question, the first thing I did was calm my body and become more observant. Why did I calm my body? Because I could control my breathing. When I was being more observant and looking, my hearing was tweaked. Because most people, when they get tense, they breathe hard. And when they breathe hard, they open themselves up. And when you see that, how they open themselves up, they literally give you a plan of attack. So here's a guy over here who might be balling up his fist, and he looks like he wants to be ominous. And here's another guy over here that's big, and he just thinks, wow, you're scared of me all the way. Anyway. See what I'm saying? There might be a third or a fourth person, so when you look, you're looking for everything that you can use to your advantage in the circumstance. And when you play your way to whatever it is that's going to allow you to attain control by any means necessary. So I'm hoping I'm not startling anybody. I'm hoping I'm giving you the incentive to go to the phone and pick up the phone. If you got to write your question down, write it down so that we can get it right and call the show. Because everything I have shows about is a tool for you in any given situation. But a tool is only good as well as your ability to use it. If you feel that you have a tool you don't know how to use, learn. There are books, videos, DVDs. There's all kind of stuff out here that we can incorporate in making us the unit of vital defense that we may need in a given circumstance. If you're a woman and you're in a situation where a confrontation is ultimate, the first thing you got to do is focus on your breathing. Settle your body down. Why? Because if it's a man, it's one attack. If it's a woman, it's a different. Why? Because a man's weakness, a weak spot, may be different from a woman's weak spot in the position that you're in. I happen to be knowledgeable of the physical structure. Excuse me. So, I know there's 107 nerve centers in your body that literally can change the dynamic of your physicality. I know there are 7 central nervous systems that when attacked, it's going to require 3 to 5 seconds for the person to recuperate. So in that 3 to 5 seconds, you have the ability to make other decisions. You may want to also consistently attack that one person, or you might want to attack another person's nerve center and then go back to that person before he regroups and hit another nerve center, and then go back to the other person or whoever moves towards you. You see, I find that when you're trying to achieve at any given point, you can grab that person you're with or by yourself and take flight. Because you've done enough damage that by the time they regroup, you have 3 to 5 seconds working to your advantage. And this is any situation. Unless you're confronted by a weapon. Okay, pick up your phone. This is Brother Davis on a Wise Wednesday. We're going to a break right now. And give me a call. Peace.
Okay.
Black Talk Radio, since 2008, providing new black media for the masses.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, when I say I observe other people's body in a situation where it's confrontation of fight or flight, I'm looking at how they're breathing. Are they breathing deep? Do they breathe like they know what they're doing? Or are they breathing like they might be a little tense, nervous? Hey, Dave, if any calls come through, let me know.
We don't have
Remember
any
that anytime. What did you say, Brother Scotty?
I said we don't have a call right now, but if anybody on the board wants to comment or ask a question, hit star. But I do have an observation that I was just thinking about last night that's related to what you're saying that I would like to share with you and get your opinion on it.
Oh, yeah, come on, please do.
I was thinking about fear last night. For whatever reason, my mind went back to situations that were life or death. And I was just thinking, how many people have actually been in life and death situations? I have been in life or death situations at least 4 times that I could remember. And then I was thinking about, well, how did I feel in those situations? And the answer that came to me was alive. And the reason that I say that is because of the adrenaline rush that I felt. I've never felt more. Anybody who's had an adrenaline rush will maybe use similar language in saying how, it just jacks you up. But for me, it made me feel alive. And so I was thinking, what is fear but an adrenaline rush? Is it really fear or is it just an adrenaline rush? And when I had those adrenaline rushes, they enabled me to react to the situation a lot faster than, I normally would in a situation like that. For example, when I was 13 years old doing ignorant stuff out there in the streets in Detroit, gang banging, we were in another neighborhood doing something we ain't had no business. And so it became to be more of them than us. It was only 2 of us. And it was like a whole bunch of them. So we was like, man, let's get out of here. But we going to come back and get them, right? So then we saw 2 other people on the side of this car talking because we doubled back and we was going to get them. We had sticks and all that. I was like 12 years old. So we went to running up to him. And when I seen that dude reach for his waistband, I immediately knew what he was reaching for, okay? Because I'm in the streets. I was gangbanging at that time. But the speed with how I reacted, how fast we got up that alleyway, and then as I'm hearing the bullets whiz past me, I'm like, I got to get out the alley. And I jumped into this yard full of dogs. Now, these dogs were barking, but I didn't care about them dogs. That was my path to get out of the path of them bullets. And I swear, I was in and out that yard within a second. I was out the other side. And that was the adrenaline that enabled me to do that. The other time that, and I'll just share this other one, but it's been about 4 times, was when I was in Saudi Arabia during the Gulf War. And me and this guy was out on patrol late night because we like what you might call third shift. We worked at night. So we driving around the different sites in Saudi Arabia, where we got people at, and just to check up on them and see if they needed anything. They're running like satellite trucks and things of that nature. And when that Saudi Arabian police car, which was actually a Humvee, got in behind us, and I already knew that these men did not like us anyway, just the adrenaline rush that I felt. and how I was just on edge and immediately took a defensive posture from inside the vehicle. So if anything, what some people might call, what is it correct to call it fear, or is it an adrenaline rush? And that adrenaline rush can either cause your muscles to lock up, or they can cause you to quite frankly exhibit superhuman abilities. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that the adrenaline gland is called the house of water. And when the water is placed into the system, it becomes more lubricant. And that lubricant may be energy. It may come out as something that allows your body to relax more, but it feeds into your thought process. Why does it feed to your thought process? Because you have already dictated your circumstance to your body through that same process. So literally, you were able to conform your adrenaline to be a positive force in the circumstances that you were facing. Some people, that same adrenaline is what is the force that allows them to escape a situation like you were in, like you did. Others allows them to confront it, that situation like you were in, if they were close enough to be effective. And understand how I say that. If they were close enough to be effective. Because one of the things that work about adrenaline is that if you are on your mind and your thought process are on the same wavelength, they're connecting for you to achieve what your decision factor kicks in. Like you said, you jumped in the yard to get away from the bullets. Oh no, though the dogs were in the yard, the next two steps you was going over the other side of the fence in the other direction to still maintain a certain security for yourself. You see, that is the difference between fear. See, when fear kicks in, your body freezes up, so your adrenaline cannot send the liquid into the system that you need. And see, here's what's unique about it. If you're running, that adrenaline goes to your legs, and you just take off. If you are in a situation of confrontation, that adrenaline goes to the ligaments in which you are using. Your arms, your hands, your head, your neck, your back, your elbows. Everything that literally works to your advantage is how your body is designed to have that adrenaline work. One of the things that you said, Scotty, was you thought it was fear, but it converted to adrenaline. It was never fear. It was focus, understanding, and choosing to make a decision. Excellent expose of how people's body is literally going to either work with them or work against them. So I'm encouraging anybody else to give us a call, because there's a whole lot more I got for you. I spoke to you about the 7-gland theory, and the adrenaline gland is a part of the 7-gland theory. But the adrenaline gland, like I said, is considered to be the house of water because it brings energy into the system. And the energy feeds into all others, from your pancreas gland to your thyroid gland. But the thalamus gland, all of these glands are designed to be centers. And those centers have a purpose, okay? So now if they're open and unprotected, they can literally be your weak spots. You see how the body allows one who has the knowledge to interpret it and who doesn't can be victimized by it? So therefore, it is important that we understand that in a situation where fight or flight decisions are needed, you're going to have to make the decision and move on your decision. When Scotty realized the circumstances changed from what he thought they would be, he didn't freeze up. That adrenaline took him to the next level of the thought process and put his body in position to make the next decision and follow through. And in that case, allowed him to get away and talk about it later. Because you have to understand, in reverse was the dynamic in Charleston. And they never talked about it later. But yet this guy had the audacity to tell one person, I'm going to let you live so you can tell. You see, that person knew how to inflict fear. And the sad part about it is that he did it intentionally. Evil can never be understood, but you must be able to identify it, and your body must be able to react to it. Because if not, you don't allow your adrenaline, you're not allowing your adrenaline to kick in so you can do what is necessary for you to find a way to escape the circumstance. One of the things that we must always understand is that all of these radio shows that I do is about you. Okay? And what you do in a given situation is going to make a difference on how your family is either affected or not affected at all. And one of the best things is that everything in a given situation, a fight or flight, your mind must look at every possible thing to be a weapon, or your mind must see every option to escape. That's simple. Because I'm going to tell you something. Most people fear confrontation. Why? Oh, they don't want to get punched in the face. I grew up getting punched in the face. They don't want to fall and scrape their knees. I grew up with scrapes and bruises. Some of them that I got didn't even intend to get. And they weren't all in confrontation. I mean, I used to steal watermelons from the fruit house at night when we climbed into the truck. I can't tell you how many times I fell out that truck before I really got the ability to climb. But on the other hand, I got a few bruises for it. Anytime you're in a situation of life and you're learning, whether it's be from somebody or something, there may be a cost that you got to pay for that lesson. And this is in all aspects. I don't care if you're a professional. If you don't understand how that profession works before you call yourself a professional, you may spend a lot of money learning before you can call yourself a professional in that area and say, you know what, that cost me a whole lot to learn what I know. You see, that is the dynamic in which confrontation, fight or flight, all must have a position of identification. You must be able to see and always look at you being in the position of control. Because if you're in a submission position, you have submitted yourself to death. Whether this death is psychological, emotional, but you confront that circumstance, it's like a child. We were having a bully. There was always a bully. I don't care who you are, there's a bully. You may not see that bully, but your child may have to deal with that bully. I dealt with bullies in my time. And the sad part about it is that I was just being me. I wasn't looking at it from the standpoint of other people. But there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I was, I don't know if I mentioned it here, but I went to an all-white private school. And there was a bully there. And we had to go to the barn. And this bully picked on everybody at the barn. And they were wondering, what's this black guy going to do? You have to understand now. Everybody else did what he said, kowtow to him, you pluck him in the head, slap him. Well, when I came down to the barn, first of all, I ain't never had a milk a cow in my life. But I did. I learned all of that. And when this bully came to start picking on me, and I'm like, you know what, I ain't that type of person. But now this guy was like 6'4". He's about 240, and I was about 5'6", maybe carrying 155. And I knew I was going to have to deal with this guy. So after about 2 or 3 weeks of him messing with me, it started getting out that, you know what, Rick Davis ain't going to take this so much longer. But I knew I had to be really methodic about how I went about this. So I don't know if y'all know anything about barns. I'm going to tell you something. In the barn, it was a dairy barn, so cows crapped all over the place, especially and we had to scrape this here in the scraper and piles, and then they'll put it in a manure shredder, and they'll take the manure shredder out to the field, and it throws the manure all over the field. This is one of the ways you get good fertilized soil. So when they turn the soil, the manure got into the soil and a lot of nutrients back. Well, this particular Saturday, the word was out. He was supposed to be doing something to me, and I heard this on Friday night. So I got me an old bike tire, and I cut that bike tire, and I put some stones down the tube, just the tube. And I stuck the tube in my pocket. And when we went down to the barn the next day, he started messing with me. When I pulled out that tube, I slapped him in the face, and I ran out to the manure area. where all the cows were and crap was all over the place. And I whooped on him with that tube and them stones. And every time he tried to get up and started slipping on that cow crap, I was wearing him out. Well, it got all around the whole school. They called me in the office and everything. After they went through their discipline thing, I never forget this guy named Joe Roser. Now, he was supposed to be the what they call student home counselor, the head man at student home administration. They gave me my demerits. I had to mow this lawn, which is about 3-4 miles in square feet, for a week. Then he dismissed everybody out the office. Everything, I told her story and everything. So he came back in the office and he put his pencil down and he sat down. He turned and he looked out the window. And I'm sitting there saying, what's this guy going to say to me? You have to understand, in 1968, this was a old white guy about maybe 50, 55 years old. I'm sitting there maybe roughly 17, 16, okay? He turns around in the chair and looks at me. He said, Rick, I had to give you something. So I gave you those demerits to mow the lawn. I should have been much more stricter. And I would have been if it would have been, the guy's name was Richard Goss. If it was Richard Goss sitting here, I would have been much more stricter. He said, but when I look at you and I look at Richard Goss and I heard those stories, okay, he said, I had to fight from laughing because we've always had a problem with Goss as a bully in between those two student homes. He said, I want to commend you, but don't ever tell anybody I said that. You're dismissed. So you never know how it's going to come back. And Goss never messed with me or anybody in my student home, and he was in our student home. No, he never messed with anybody his whole senior year. When he graduated, he said nothing. He just left. So you're going to have to deal with bullies. Okay, let's take the call, brother.
Okay, caller, welcome. Caller from area code 404. I know who it is, but I want to just make sure. Welcome to Tando Radio Show. What is your question or comment for Brother Davis?
Hey, this is Jada from Atlanta. Hi, brothers Dave and Scotty and everybody. How you guys doing?
Hello, my sister. How are you?
Good. I'm good. I have a question for Brother Davis. You know, I've been watching the news, and I've seen these people fighting in the airports, and I'm like, why are just people fighting, you know, over stupid things? Like, what is causing people to be so irritated about, you know, a flight being canceled or even here in Atlanta, like road rage, people are actually shooting and killing people over stupid stuff. And I'm trying to understand that, you know, that mindset of, you know, why would you do that?
You can't. I'm going to tell you why. Because we're born animals. Every animal is born the same way. The babies from deer, bear, and everything, we're all born the same way. But we are supposed to evolve beyond our animal levels. But because some of us don't mature enough, this is how they deal with it in an animalistic way. So, therefore, if you're faced with it, or if someone you love faced with it, you have to deal with it. Can you explain? I can never explain road rage. I'm out here every day. I know exactly what you're talking about. What would make a person feel that they would have to go to this degree in order to get their point across to somebody who don't know them from Adam and may not even understand why they're going through what they're going through? We never know that, because those are principles based on that person's perception that you may never ever get clearly, but yet they'll go to the extent of pulling guns out, shooting at each other. Right now, I've been mentioning I'm taking my wife. We're getting off the road because there was a truck driver in Chicago that was driving down the highway, minding his own business, probably looking for an opportunity to make his delivery. Somebody pulls up to the truck, fires 3 shots in the driver's door, and leaves, drives off. Well, the guy pulled the truck off the road without causing any harm to anybody, but by the time he got to the hospital, he was dead. I will never understand that. This is why we must be prepared for fight or flight. And don't think for a minute that you're going to find rationale in it. You can't. It's irrational behavior. I do appreciate your call, sister. I hope I answered your question.
You did. You answered it. It just still is. When you have children, it's just crazy. Yeah.
Yes, it is. But listen. Never overlook your circumstance, because guess what? You still have that line may still have to come out. And when that line comes out, literally, that's going to be something that you are going to have to take care of. My wife literally has groomed herself to understand that type of position. Matter of fact, Erica, would you like to give a perspective on this? Okay, hold on one second.
Okay.
Hey, sister and Kendo family. I wanted to say that I've also noticed that here, babe, just this one, because that's not working. I have noticed, absolutely have noticed the rages and everything. And like you said, road rage is really crazy because no matter, you're always going to be behind somebody else. You get around somebody to be first, and you're still behind somebody that's in front of you. I mean, there's never anybody at the front of the highway. You're always behind something. So anyway, but sister, I think it's the frequencies. I think the veil is getting so thin, and these frequencies are just escalating. The frequencies are just absolutely crazy. The foods are just kind of bringing everybody.
Hey, Sister Davis, real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt. Just so you know, you have another caller in from Hartford. So once Brother Davis. Sister Davis finished, just call on the Hartford caller out of Connecticut so that they can ask their question. Go ahead, Sister Davis. Sorry to interrupt you, Queen.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll let him have it right after I make the statement. But I was thinking about Scotty when he was talking about running and the dogs and adrenaline and everything. And I said to myself, back at that time, Scotty probably had a mother that was cooking or had some decent food and not a whole bunch of, maybe some processed food, maybe a little bit of McDonald's. But not on the degree that our children are eating it now, the different kind of bad food. And I just as he was talking, I said, he probably had such a healthy diet. They had healthy music. They had, even if it was a one-parent family, you still had some structure. And since these children don't have a lot of that, the milk is bad, the water's bad, the meat's bad. To me, I think it's messing with the frequency in their body. And then when they send this negative frequency out, either through the airways, through chemtrails, or maybe these antennas that they got everywhere hooked on light posts and all of that, I think it just whacks out everybody. And I think they flip a switch. They don't know who's going to do what, but they know somebody somewhere is going to do something. And I swear, because I know sometimes the challenges that I'm not really challenged that it's happening to me, but I do sense the frequency changes. You can sense it when you go into different rooms. You can sense it when you go into different jobs, on different corners. When you go into the mall, where not to go. Because us on this show, maybe everybody is what you call conscious or whatever, but we have some level of frequency. Everybody on this call does. I know they do because they call in, they on the show, they have questions, they have statements with different articles. I mean, sometimes I look at all the articles that the brothers and the sisters be sending through email or text messages, and it's like phenomenal. We are all on this serious wavelength, this serious passage here on the Tando Show. It's just phenomenal. And then even some of the other shows on Black Talk, it's a flow of positive frequency that is just so unique that it keeps us pretty much calm. You know what I mean? And so we can look at those others and say, well, what is wrong with them? But I'm telling you, sister, I really believe that it has a lot to do with the frequency. Even our children in some of these high elementary schools are getting caught up. They chaining them, handcuffing kids to the desk at, second grade. But look what they feed up for lunch. All junk food. That's if they get any breakfast. That's if they get any decent meals at lunchtime, at dinner. It's just a diabolical plan. But I feel you. You know, people on airports dragging them off their seats. You know, that didn't happen just 2 years ago. 2 years ago, there was no airplanes that were dragging people off the airplane. Now they dragging people off buses. It's like, what is going on? So I definitely think it's a frequency, and I'm going to turn it back to my husband.
Thank you. That really put that. Thank you,
Brother Davis. After you take this next call,
okay.
I want to share something
Yeah, we'll take the next call, Scott.
that speaks to what was
Okay,
just
we'll
stated.
take the next call, and then we come back.
Yeah. So when we come back from this next call, I'm gonna share something that Dr. Van Sertima said. For those who don't know about Dr. Van Sertima, he's a historian and researcher in African genealogy and just how their impact on spreading all over the world. Because I was listening to one of his lectures and he spoke to that. But first, let's go to the caller from 860. Go ahead with your question or comment for Brother Davis.
Oh, yeah, thank you. How you doing?
Good evening, brother.
All right. Yeah, so you're saying fight or flight, be prepared. I'm not catching exactly what's your concept for preparation.
Well, it's very simple, brother. We are approaching times where these decisions are going to be placed on our doorstep. They're not negotiable. They don't care how you feel. And the reality is you will have to make a decision. And that decision will come down to fight or flight. Now, we have been programmed to see things that have become detrimental to our community, and rather than confront them so that we could separate and find common ground, we have been taught to videotape them. While somebody is being beaten, we're videotaping. There's some idiot that was videotaping a boa constrictor eat a human. I mean, they're videotaping. This type of mentality has broken down our ability to be the protectors that we should be in given situations like that. If your daughter was walking down the street and I seen somebody trying to grab her off the street, it is my responsibility to confront that predator so that least amount of harm possible could come to your daughter. I don't have to know you to show you love. And the reason why most black people don't do that today is because they have been lulled into a state of what I call the sinking place. They don't want to be hurt. They don't want confrontation. They don't want harm. They just want to get along. Well, these people ain't trying to get along with you. They're trying to kill you.
And not only trying to get along, a lot of the people out here in Black America, black community, especially in the inner city, the culture and the mindset of these people, man, from I would say like on average from 40 down, right? They don't intend to be trying to like break up nobody's stuff, period. Like, you know what I mean? When on the street, it's just the criminality mindset and all that is so big nowadays, right? That it's just not cool to be like people don't even have that mindset really, unless they know you or this and that, or they got some kind of connection with you or something like that. Right there, they'll just basically kind of like watch it, basically.
But brother, you know what? That's when you have to make the difference. Remember, I always let you know that you have to be the general. And a lot of people, they will follow a general, but they don't know him. You know why? Because they're trying to be cool. I ain't trying to be cool. In a situation like that, I'm trying to save your child or save somebody else's child. Because if I'm able to do that, and just to say we can catch the predator too, we get a twofer. We keep your child out of harm, plus we got another predator off the street. It is our responsibility, my brother, for us to be able to rise and face the flight or fight ordeal in our communities in order to save the community. How can I expect you to respect me if I'm going to videotape while you get your butt whooped? But if I stepped in because of the circumstance, I can separate, at least get you, if nothing else, a position where you can get away and have another day. These people always worry about the decision of death. You know why? Because you were taught wrong. Death is not the end, and it's not an answer. We transform, but if you don't believe it, then guess what? You've already killed yourself 1,000 times. Every time I see one of them brothers get shot, and then an officer walks away, I always pray that never happens to my children, because if push comes to a shove, I will be as methodical with death as necessary. But we must take our responsibility, our women and our family, very, very personal. Even if it takes us to the decision of flight or death, I'm prepared to make that decision. You know why? Because
right
that's
now,
what is required of us.
Like right now, I'm doing like a 90-day thing, right? So what would you recommend that I can do to build myself up to be prepared for the certain situations? Because the reality of what you're talking about, I mean, I'm not like measuring what you're saying as how realistic it is, but I'm just saying there's other aspects that go with that. You know, because partly because a lot of times you might be by yourself, and really you don't know who is gonna like be offended by what you're doing, because the mindset of the people is so fucked up out here. You know what I'm saying? That you don't know how this shit is gonna go. So what I'm gonna ask you is this, though, right?
Yeah. All right,
I'm doing a 90-day thing. What can I do to prepare to be able to navigate situations like that better? Because it's very unpredictable how that can turn out.
There's a book called The Art of War. Get the book called The Art of War and read it. And you'll begin to understand and be able to identify some of these things and see how you can be assertive in that circumstance. Who the author is off the top of my head, but it's an excellent book about teaching you how to identify your strengths and your weaknesses and what you should be perceiving in different situations. Hey, Dave, do you know who the author of The Art of War is offhand? I can't think of it right off the tip of my head, but that's an excellent book.
It's
Sun Tzu. Another book.
Yeah, Sun Tzu. It's spelled Suntzu. Art of War.
Sun Tzu. That's right. Sun Tzu. The Art of War. Believe me, it will put you in a frame of mind to be able to confront those so-called things that literally are programs that are keeping us docile. Because I see it all the time with these young people. And listen, brother, although you may not realize now, but you have opened the door of change that's going to make a difference. But you have to look for those people who are looking at you, because I'm going to tell you, they're there. They just don't have an example. And the old heads out in the corner, why do you think they put liquor stores in our community so heavy? Cigarettes everywhere you go. The fast foods, all of these things break down your ability to be able to go out and self-edify so that you can be the general your community needs. I know a brother who moved into a new community. They had a major disaster. What did he do? He didn't know none of them people, but he started help cleaning up the disaster. A general will always cast a greater shadow than his side. And that's always been a part of my philosophy. Anybody listen to my show will tell you that I always said I cast a greater shadow than my side. And that's what you'll be doing, brother. I hope that answers your question. Okay, brother. Are we going to another break, Scotty, or you want to come in with the information that you wanted to expand on?
We'll do it after this short break.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, brother, for your call. I appreciate you here at Tando Radio. This is Brother Davis on a Wise Wednesday. We'll be right back.
Make Black Talk Radio your choice for digital black radio. New black media for the new millennium.
We're back. It's Brother Davis coming at you. Scotty, you said you wanted to give us some information, or
yes,
bring us a scenario that you've been.
The sister asked, why do certain people behave a certain way? I'm going to use the word that Van Sertima used last night when I was watching his documentary or his lecture on the African presence in the Americas. It's on YouTube if y'all want to look that up. But he kind of like took a sidebar and he was talking about savagery, savages, and who the real savages are. And some people, I believe, they just savages. This is, and then, you know, also the misuse of the word. He was talking about the misuse of the word supreme, or saying that a culture or a group of people are supreme because of their ability to dominate another people. He said that's not supremacy, that's savagery. He said, he was like, the example he used, he talked about melanated cultures, and he was saying how advanced they were and developed intellectually, and it just wasn't in their nature to attack other people or, you know, just be engaged in that sort of cruel violence, unnecessary violence, or trying to force your will on somebody else. And the example he used was Genghis Khan. He said Genghis Khan was not intellectually or supreme over those people that they conquered, but what he was a savage. And so what I'm not discounting any other factors, but some people are they just lean towards that savage nature. They never, like I've heard mentioned on this program, and you talked about it, Brother Davis. Some of us operate from a higher self. Some of us operate from a lower self. Okay. And I have been in both places and can turn it on and off if I need to. You know what I'm saying? But that really kind of stood out to me last night watching that lecture by Van Sertima, because he's exactly right. You know, people being able to violently slaughter and dominate and enforce their will on other people doesn't make them supreme beings. It makes them savages. They're just savage. So that's all I wanted to share on that.
Absolutely. But and in doing so, you have to understand that principle is out there. We live in a society where savagery is practiced every day. And if you don't believe it, look at our world policy. Look in the communities, that are being policed by people who don't even live in them. We have work to do, and we need to get busy. So, let me give you some helpful hints. One of the things that we must do is be principled about what we want. If we want our children to get better education, we must take on that responsibility and stop giving it to other people. What you don't know, a small fact, sidebar, they are moving black men out of public education. Why? Because black men represent a fear factor that they don't want children to pick up by example. Now, if you think this may be ludicrous, you go to the next PTA meeting of your child and look how many black teachers are there. They do not want black teachers there. They do not want black men at the meetings. But if you show up, all you got to do is be there. You will be a general to those people who see you there. You know why? Because you'll hear them, you know what, the Mr. So-and-so goes to the meeting. He's interested in what happens to his kids. He's interested in their education. They are trying to dismantle us, not only in our communities, not only in our families, but they're trying to dismantle us totally out of society. And if you don't believe it, go to the average construction site right around in your neighborhood. You're going to see a lot of whites, a whole lot of Latinos, but you ain't going to see a lot of blacks. So one time you see a lot of blacks. Even in the South now, I'm seeing more whites than blacks on road crews. When there used to be predominantly black out there, they've been laying pavement or painting lines. You see, they're doing a transformation. What we're not doing is attacking their transformation with a voice that can grow because it's being multiplied by people from various vicinities, because most of the people who are seeing this going on is saying, oh, well, as long as it doesn't affect my money. I'm telling you something. It's affecting more than your money. It's affecting your family. It's affecting your community. And the way they're manipulating churches now. And if you don't think they are, they just are trying to pass a bill now that gives the church a right to speak on what political person they want to take the office, that they should speak about and take in office. And the dynamic of having a 501c or 503c, they have a tax exempt status. You don't think they're manipulating the church? Absolutely. And these are vital pillars in our community. Our marriages are under attack. Look at the homosexual agenda being taught in the very schools we pay taxes for, but don't go to the meetings because we haven't understood the importance of being the ones in control of our children's education. And then they turn around and say, you know what? I never knew who Booker T. Washington was. I never knew who Big Ben, the clock, was named after. They never knew that 80% of most of the discoveries today come from black minds. They never knew that there was a black history prior to American history. This is intentional, y'all, and we can change it, but we have to get ourselves in a position to prepare for fight or flight. And that fight don't always have to be a physical confrontation. That fight may be at the school administrative building when they talk about a program that they want to implement that's going to have influence over your children that you don't want your children to be a part of. Why do I say that? Because the highest rate of teenage suicide is done by young people who are caught between sexual identification. And they go out here and they involve themselves in something and realize it's not them, but they cannot forget the experience they have because the images visit them time and time again because they have no structure on dumping waste and putting in positive information. This is our job. We must take control of our families and reach into our communities. Get the fast foods out and bring the best vegetables in. And if you can't get them at your grocery store, buy the seeds and grow them in our backyards. We got to take responsibility for making the repairs necessary because these people still want you to get up on Columbus Day and take that cash and have a day off and celebrate with a barbecue when you know Columbus was a sadistic rapist who literally everywhere he went called kill, steal, and destroy.
He was a savage.
So what are we celebrating this for?
He was a savage.
Well, we got Brother Davis. Brother Bragg is also on the line. When you get a chance, Scotty and Brother Davis, pull up Brother Bragg.
Okay,
he has a question and comment before we get out of here.
We got about 12 minutes.
Brother Bragg.
Peace.
Brother Bragg. Go ahead, Brother Bragg.
Yes, sir. Peace. Brother Davis, you're on fire. I was just going to sit back because I didn't want to disturb you. But look,
Sorry,
you see those people at that airport acting like that? Ask yourself this. What did they spray in that airport? Now, think I could be facetious, but listen to me. Hear me out. What did they spray on all those people? Because what if those people had a motive to fight each other? So why did they act that way? What were they testing that day? And don't think that it's crazy. Now, the other part, you were talking about the truck driver in Chicago. We just had a guy get killed yesterday driving a Challenger, stopped to pick up a movie at the movie bin, left his car running with the keys in it. Young cats jumped in the car. He had his baby in the back seat because his girlfriend was with him. They both got out the car, left the car running. Things that you don't do in the city. But anyway, the young man, when they jumped the car, his baby's in the back. He had to go at the car. Like those decisions you're talking about have to be made. Your baby's in the back seat. You blew it because you left the car running. You left the door wide open. These guys have jumped in the car. You can't let them leave with the car because they got the baby. He gave his life for the baby. They caught the people, but he lost his life. He's a veteran, too. Now, these senseless things, these are senseless acts that you're not going to understand. But you never know when the angel of death is standing around you. So act accordingly. You know what I'm saying? I feel a lot of things. Watch what comes out your mouth, because what comes out your mouth creates your reality. So if you bring these things upon yourself with bad words are spells. Speak kind, good words. Speak love into the life, into your atmosphere. And you can do this. This is easily done. Everything is on a program.
Brother.
And Brother Davis, I hear the things you say. I usually just sit back. But you're on fire. You hitting them right where you got to hit them. Because, see, they got to hear this. These decisions you have to make. You don't know how the outcome of things is going to be. You just snap judgment. This is how it goes. This is our life we live. When you step out the door, you don't know what it's going to be today. The thing is, you're trying to make it back home to the people you love so you can take care of what you love. The other thing, to rise higher, the vibration. The vibration is what you make it. You can have low vibration or high vibration. It's what you program yourself to be, or you let them program you. If you let them program you, you're programmed for death and destruction. I'm not going to bring religion into it because religion got a lot to do with all this. Everything you see, all of the murder, mayhem, these death cults, I'm not even going to go there. But I'm just going to say.
Absolutely. We are in warfare 24/7 on every level. And what he said about the airport is very simplistic in destruction, because who would know? If you can't smell it and you can't tell it, don't think you're not breathing it, because it could very well change who you are. Listen, this is Brother Davis on a Wise Wednesday. Brother, I want to thank you for giving me a call, Brother Bragg. I'd like to turn the show over to Dave a little early because in case he has any messages to put out there. But remember this, and remember this always. Never underestimate the circumstance that may befall you, or you all to the circumstance. Brother Davis on a Wise Wednesday. Brother Dave, I'm out. It's back to you.
Thank you, Brother Davis. Great show as always. Greatly appreciate you. All the callers that called in, a great show. So I just want to say, everyone, for those of you, two things. Brother Bragg, what's going on? But let's hurry up before, because we got New Abolition Radio coming on right after this in 4 minutes.
You have about 10 minutes.
Just to get this going, about 10 minutes. Okay. So what I want to do for everyone that signed up for the Bitcoin, what we're going to do is that we're going to meet up on Saturday morning, this Saturday morning. Just make sure you text me, and then we will set up a time. I will give you the time, and those five, the individuals, it wasn't five, it was more than five. Forget how many it was. The people that signed up for the Bitcoin platform, definitely text me. My number is 951-790-8330 because we're going to walk through some things. I'm going to explain some things to you about that platform to get you all squared away. And also, we're getting ready to start the preparedness classes right after Tando Radio Show in approximately 15 minutes. So if you'd like to do that, you can also text me to jump into the classes, and that is where we're going to be going. Tomorrow, we will have a very, very important show. Make sure you are all here. Brother Davis, actually, great, as always, great show, and I couldn't thank you all enough.
Brother Dave.
What we're going to do is we're going to make room for New Abolition Radio coming on right after Tando Radio Show. It's never goodbye. It's always we'll see you later.
Hold up, Brother David. Hold up, Brother Dave.
Yeah, go ahead, Scotty.
First, I got to commend you for that video that y'all produced on the difference between currency and money. I've been sharing that through our various social media platforms. And it was good to see that the people that you talked to were not totally ignorant of the difference between currency and money. And if y'all have not checked out that video, I also posted it in btrcommunity.com. But I just wanted to commend you and your partner for making that public education. That's public education right there, man. I wanted to commend you on that.
Thank you, Scotty. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, we did a video by the Dallas Federal Reserve and just asked some questions. And one of the things, and we'll talk about it. The people there had some, a real good base of knowledge. One of the things that I didn't like, the first couple that we saw, they were completely organic. What they spoke about, they knew. Most of the others, there was one gentleman that I don't like to trap people, especially our people on camera. So we had a little discussion before, and he, the one brother, he was an economics major. He knew, but we just had a conversation. I told him what we were going to ask, and he says, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah." that is true because I didn't want to trap anybody, and they responded to what they knew. So that was one thing that we, always want to do. And, because mainstream media, what they try to do is they try to put a microphone underneath your chin and then trap you and make you look bad, and that is taking out of context of who you truly are. And I never wanted to do that with anyone. So it was just more sincere. So thank you, Scotty. And if you haven't seen that, you can go to YouTube video. It was a video sponsored by Brother Ben X with David Wren. What's the difference between currency and money? So we're going to be doing other things, and I'm looking forward to working with Scotty and that type of stuff, and you all as well. So thank you, Scotty, for mentioning it. Very, very important. So we're going to get ready to get out of here because we got Max and Brother Scotty coming on for the New Abolition Radio right after Tando Radio Show. So with that being said, everyone, thank you so much for who you are, and it's never goodbye. I never say goodbye. If I speak to any of you on the phone, you always know I never say goodbye. It's always I'll see you later because we are infinite and we are eternal. And so this is how we have to first be. That should be some of the fundamental things that we should do in our overall decision making. So much love, much respect. Great Creator willing, we'll see each other and talk soon. And not only that, before you ask for a fortune, make sure to give one away. Brother Braggs, if you would chime us out, we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace, peace.